sustains a range of forests much vaster than its small footprint. The coasts are muffled with salt and sun-soaked mangroves, and moving south, thick tropical jungle grows. The wet heat of a tropical rainforest thrums to temperate trees, and their hardwoods climb to pines. Boreal forests, with towering size of a house cathedral trees, grow up from the middle slopes of the island. Beyond the tree line, the mountains peter out to prairie, cane grasslands widening toward an alpine sky. Like topographical rings on a map, the trees array themselves by elevation. Born into conflict at the junction of two volcanic arcs, Taiwan is an unstable landmass in perpetual confrontation. Set along the Ring of Fire, the Pacific zone plagued by quakes and eruptions, southeast of China, west of Japan, north of the Philippines, the island marks the border of two tectonic plates. This is known to geologists as a destructive plate boundary. The collision of the Eurasian and Philippine sea plates forced the island into being some 6 to 9 million years ago during the Miocene epoch. Such collisions are powerful, with one plate thrust beneath another, raising land from the sea and into the air. But these borders can be devastating too. The Central Mountain Range, running some 170 miles, 4/5 of the island's length, and the Xueshan Range, arcing halfway across the island's north, are flanked on either side by faults. The foothills and flatlands to the west wear breakage like errant stitching on a quilt, determining and dividing the landscape. To the east, the coastal mountain range is pressed between fault lines and the sea. More than 200 of the island's peaks are higher than 3,000 meters, monuments to tectonic change set fast into schist, gneiss, marble, and slate. The mountains are among the youngest in the world, and they continue to shift as the Philippine sea plate moves westward at around 80 millimeters a year. Through the forces of orogeny that form great mountain chains, Taiwan's peaks stand taller every day. Islands transfix us, their mythologies tied as much to their isolation as to imagination. Long sought Ithaca or the seaport in a tempest, the islands I know from stories can be both real and fanciful. Material places of rock and soil, they come laden with the ideological weight of Edens and Arcadias, with visions of paradise. The Chinese coastline is littered with islands close at hand, easy to reach, knowable. But for centuries, those in the distance across the Taiwan Strait or the East China Sea remained treacherous to reach and explore. It is easy to imagine how they might have been idealized, or likewise abhorred, for their distance from Chinese civilization. In Chinese myth, Peng Lai, described as both a mountain and an island, was the home of the immortals, blessed with cups that never ran dry, with rice bowls that never emptied. In the 3rd century BC, the first emperor of a unified China sought the mythic island, sailing his ships to the east. It is said that the emperor's emissaries found Japan instead. But Peng Lai is also one of the traditional names for Taiwan. It was for this wealth of natural resources that Qing explorers first ventured to the island that was renowned for its abundance. In 1697, the colonial scribe Yu Yonghe traveled in search of sulfur. In his journey along the coast, led by indigenous guides and servants, he described rice grains the size of beans and island crops providing perhaps twice the harvest of the mainland. Coconuts could be split and used as cups for wine. He wrote that Taiwan's fruit, plentiful but mostly unfamiliar to the voyagers, would spoil on the journey back to the mainland. The island was vital and abundant, but entirely unto itself. For those from the continent, these eastern archipelagos were brimming with life, mountains and a turbulent sea. But unlike the immortal islands of myth, Taiwan belonged to the material realm, a living world on a fault-ridden